And I look at that.
Go ahead and do the intro to camera.
Okay. Hi, my name is Diana Bernardo. I am a second grade teacher at Frank Berry School in Bethel, Connecticut, and I am teaching a math lesson. This was the second day, focusing on two-digit addition with and without regrouping. And in today's lesson, they were applying what they learned yesterday, which was rewriting addition problems using the standard algorithm. Today, they were reading word problems and they were writing number models and then solving the problems using any strategy that they have learned prior to this lesson.
Okay. Good. Very good. All right. So, question number 1. We want to understand the decisions you made in planning for this lesson and how it fits into the unit and year. How does this lesson connect to and build on students' prior skills and knowledge? What was taught before this lesson and what will come after it?
How does this lesson connect to and build upon students' prior skills and knowledge? Well, this was an application lesson, and prior to this lesson, the students had been focusing on different strategies for adding two-digit numbers with and without regrouping. So they already have a solid understanding of two-digit addition, especially using the standard algorithm where they have to model the addition and the regrouping. So today, the students were applying their knowledge of their strategies, and they were reading word problems, writing a number model, and using any strategy that they have learned so far to solve the problems. And I did notice that the students did tap into their prior knowledge, and some of them used expanded form and place value skills in order to solve. Some of them use the standard algorithm with regrouping. So they really pulled from what they have learned in prior lessons.
Talk about the standards or cluster targeted in this lesson. What did you do to make the lesson reflect the full intent of that standard or cluster?
Okay, I'm going to have to look back at my notes. Sorry.
I'm going to cut. Okay. You want me to prompt
standard,
you?
The standard targeted in this lesson.
Talk about the standards or cluster targeted in this lesson. What did you do to make the lesson reflect the full intent of a standard or cluster?
Okay. Is it recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This lesson fell within the operations and algebraic thinking standard, and the students had to represent and solve addition problems, specifically OA1, where they have to solve problems within 100. And this was a situation in which they had to use the information in the problem to put together in order to reach their sum. It also used the place value understanding, which is what we focused on yesterday under the numbers and operations in base 10, where students had to use place value understanding in order to solve problems fluently involving addition. I don't know, is that good enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't have to keep running on.
Okay.
Yeah. Which of the core action indicators do you think this lesson best exemplified, and how did you plan for this? You want me to pause for a minute?
Oh yeah, focus, coherence, and all right. So what's the question again? Sorry.
Which of the core action indicators do you think this lesson best exemplified, and how did you plan for this?
Which core action indicator did this lesson best exemplify? I believe it best exemplified core action indicator number 1. The lesson was very focused on the standard, which was for students to add within 100 using situations that involve putting together in order to reach the sum. The lesson was coherent in that it built upon their prior knowledge of place value skills and understanding. And I also connected it to the real world, and I told the students that this is something that they're going to use all the time when they're reading word problems. They're going to have to organize their information in order to write a number model to better help them solve. I also found aspects of rigor in my lesson in which there was fluency practice, which is very important, and that procedural skills, so students not only are able to understand what procedures to follow and solve the problems, but they also need to be able to do it with fluency and accuracy. And the students also, sorry.
That's okay.
And I also referred back to that conceptual understanding of regrouping, and the students are able to use those visual representations with the base 10 blocks in order to see what's happening when they're regrouping and solving problems.
We're interested in how the shifts required by the CCSS are being incorporated into your classroom. Discuss how this lesson illustrates the shifts required by the CCSS.
How does this lesson illustrate the shifts required by the CCSS? Well, the lesson, I always take time at the beginning of a math lesson. It's important to take time from that whole group lesson in order to incorporate fluency practice, especially practice that's going to be connected to what the students are doing that day. Students in the past were taught different skills, but they were not really taught in depth, and fluency wasn't focused on as much as it is now with the Common Core. So it is truly important to get that fluency practice, and students need to be able to show that they're solving problems in different ways, and they need to persist in their efforts when solving their problems. I don't know. Sorry. And students also need to be able to apply what they've learned in previous lessons, which is what they did today. But it's important for students to be able to apply what they've learned in real world situations and understand what they're doing and why they are doing it.
Good. How did you teach the content of this lesson prior to the CCSS? What is the same and what's different?
I think that's probably going to be the same as yesterday's.
Okay.
So should I skip that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's up to you unless you want to just sum it up really quickly.
Okay. No. All right. How did I teach the content of this lesson prior to the CCSS? Well, in the past, I think that when solving word problems, we would just teach students how to read a word problem, and these are the words that you need to use when you're adding, these are the words that you need to look for when you're subtracting, and the students really weren't understanding why a number model is important, and they were just saying, okay, I need to add because I know that this is what we're working on now. Whereas now, the students are really reading the problems, and they're thinking about the information presented in the problems and organizing it in a way that will allow them to solve in different ways that they have learned in the past. Instead of just adding two numbers together, they might add one number plus an unknown in order to get to the sum. So they really have to think about what they're doing.
Student engagement is crucial to the work of the CCSS. We want to understand how you ensured that all students had the opportunity to productively engage in the work of the lesson. How did the students handle this lesson? Did they understand the mathematics, and how do you know?
Did the students understand the mathematics? I believe that they did, especially just seeing the way that students were all able to get the correct answers, but many of them did it in different ways, and they were able to explain their thinking, which goes back to the shift of rigor, and that students are persisting in solving problems in different ways. I don't know.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about it. You
Okay.
know, when you feel like you've finished it, just stick with it.
Okay.
Explain how you differentiated in this lesson. Did all students have the opportunities to work on grade level content? If all students did not have this opportunity, explain why.
That one we could probably skip because they all had the same problems and they just
Okay.
solved it in different ways. So that was, I guess, the differentiation there.
Okay, so we'll move on to which behaviors from Core Action 3 did the students best exemplify in this lesson?
Okay, this is what I need to...
You want to take a little pause?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Which behaviors from Core Action 3 did the students best exemplify in this lesson?
Which behaviors from Core Action 3 did the students best exemplify in this lesson? I believe that looking at the mathematical practices, many of the students do an awesome job explaining their thinking and talking about the different strategies that they use. They look back at their work and they reflect on their work, and they're able to revise in order to change their thinking if they did get an answer incorrect. They're using tools appropriately when needed, so if they do feel that they need to draw a picture in order to solve, or that they need to use visual representations to model what they're working on, they know that they can do that as well. It's important for students to know that they have this invisible bag of tricks, and all these strategies that they've learned in the past are in that bag of tricks, and that they can pull out whichever strategy they need when appropriate. Students use precise mathematical language when talking, and notice that they're using words like place value, ones place, tens place, regrouping, which is important to connect that mathematical language to what they're doing in math.
Did you look at any other submitted work today?
No, so we skip those.
Yeah.
Okay. There weren't any surprises or unexpected behaviors.
Okay.
I mean, looking at their work, I was just happy that most of them did what I taught them yesterday.
Right.
So.
Okay. And that shows on the video.
Yeah.
So great instructors are continuously learning. We want to understand what you celebrated in this lesson and what you would improve upon. Reflecting on the lesson today, what worked well and what might you do differently?
What worked well in today's lesson, I loved that my students went back to the previous lesson and they were using the strategy that I taught them yesterday for addition, and they were applying it today when solving word problems. But I was also proud that many of the students chose to use a multitude of strategies and they were able to explain their thinking. And if I ask them, they can probably tell me why they chose to use that strategy. What would I do differently? I would probably have mixed in a couple problems that were not involving situations of putting together, just to see what the students' number models would have looked like in that situation. But I also know that in the future, to build onto this lesson, I am going to teach them how to solve addition word problems with different situations where one of the add-ins is unknown. So that would be a different lesson after this one.
Were there any surprises or unexpected student behaviors?
No.
Okay.
No.
You're done.
Oh my God,
Good
thank
work.
God. Thank you.
2 days, yay.
A bottle of wine tonight.
Right? You